This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll be making a ruffle cake design. It's broken down into steps so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. For this lesson, we're going to use a little bit of extra purple buttercream. We made our purple by just adding a couple of drops of our violet liquid gel to our American style buttercream, but you can use whatever kind of buttercream you like for this. We've got a bag ready, and we're going to be using a 104 tip. You could use any petal tip for this. Larger will give you larger ruffles, and smaller will give you smaller. For this cake, we're going to be making ruffles, and we're going to do that using our 104 tip. We want to think about anchoring the fat end of that opening against the cake, and we're just going to rock our hand. So think about just like a little kind of like chunk chunk, curling it towards yourself and back kind of motion to create those ruffles, because that's going to wave the top of the tip. And rather than lifting the whole thing away, so you can see just slowly rocking as we move, it'll ruffle the top while leaving the back anchored against the surface. And that's what we want, because we want it to stick to the side of our cake. Likewise, if you feel like you don't quite have the hand control, or you just want a different style, you can do little scallop style arcs. So think just piping little arc motions to get your ruffles. Same deal, fat end anchored. The skinny end is just going to be away. And we're just going to mimic the idea of ruffles by just doing those little arced lines. So you can think about like little bunny hops, and that'll give you a little scalloped edge. When we're working on our cake, the important thing to remember is that we want to leave a small gap. So think this is the side of our cake, this is our tip oriented against the surface. That fat end of our petal tip opening is going to be right against the surface. The skinny end will be just a little bit away, so leaving a small gap, and that's going to leave us space to wiggle in and out. But it's also going to give those ruffles some depth, and it's going to ankle them out a little bit, and that makes it easy to make the next row. We're just going to come directly underneath, leave yourself enough clearance. They don't have to be right on top of each other, so that you can get that tip under there cleanly and do your next set of little wavy ruffles without disturbing or destroying the first one. And you'll see that'll kind of happen naturally. And so then we'll just start at the top of the cake with our tip kind of lined up flush with that top surface, and we'll work our way down until we get to the bottom. We've got our cake out. We're working on a small little like 5-inch round. A 4 or 5-inch is great to practice. We've got a couple layers in there. We've just leveled off the tops, filled with buttercream, and we've given it a nice coat of white buttercream. It's a nice smooth layer. If you want to, you can cover it with color just in case you have any gaps or little spots that won't show through, but we're just going to leave it white today. And this is a great way to do a two-tone cake by doing one color coated on it and then another color piped on the sides. So we're going to line our tip up with the top, and you can see right now it's flush against the surface. I'm just going to rock it out. That way you can see the top edge is pointing just away from the cake, and there's actually a little gap there, but that bottom part is still pressed against it, and that's what we want, because that's going to give us the space we need to rock back and forth. Just twist our hand, and it's going to give us a nice little gap. And I've just got my forearm braced against my turntable. Anytime you need to, you can stop, retwist your bag so you have nice pressure on it, line yourself up again, and just keep going around. One of the great things about ruffles is you can start and stop as you please. And it's a good idea to kind of anchor yourself either against your table or against your turntable, whatever's more comfortable. Just kind of rest your forearm or your elbow against something. That way you're nice and steady. There we go. And as we come back to the beginning, you might need to just rock your bag out. So think about pulling the back end towards you just to get in there without disturbing your line. For my second row, I'm just gonna spin a little bit and pick a new place to start. I don't wanna line up all my starting points because then you'll get a definite line down the side of your cake in one spot where you may get a little extra buildup, and it'll also look just a little bit odd to the eye. So if we stagger them, then they'll kind of get lost in there, all those little stops and starts. And I wanna bring my tip down, make sure it's angled out. That way I can nest the tip against the surface, and I can rock my bag. You can see it's really even easier with that second row to make a nice ruffle. And because that tip, the point is pointing out, I can nest it right underneath the row before it and get a nice little ruffle under there. You can see, you can't see the cake in between, and it's almost all the way underneath, just the top part is overlapping, and that allows me to nest it under there, get a nice good ruffle without having any gaps. I'm also not knocking against the one that I've already done, and this allows me just to work my way, taking my time down the side of my cake, getting nice, beautiful ruffles. So we'll do the same thing we did before, where we just slowly work our way around. Give myself a nice clean finish. If you need to, load your bag up more and keep working. We're gonna take a little break in the video to work our way down our cake, and we're gonna come back and show you how we finish against the bottom. So you can see we've worked all the way down the side of our cake. We just had a little space down there at the bottom, and it's almost the perfect amount of space for our tip. So we're gonna do our last little row, and we just follow the same method, just nesting it directly underneath with just the top part of that tip overlapping the bottom of the ruffle before. And we've got a nice, beautiful, wavy, varied look all the way around. So we just wanna pick a starting point. And for this final row, you might need to just angle that point on the tip out a little more, just to give ourselves some room to really sandwich under there and really get against the surface and leave ourselves enough clearance. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that, turn that tip out, put it under there, and just take our time and really go around. And for this one especially, if you go a little slower, that'll make sure you're really filling up that space underneath, making some beautiful ruffles. And just slowing it down will allow you to fill it up a little bit because it'll make everything a little fatter, a little more dramatic, and a little wavier. And that'll just help take up all that space and give you a nice clean finish there at the bottom. So especially if you maybe had a few little areas that are regular, like maybe your ruffles got up a little higher or something, this will just kind of allow you to just fill in any little blips you might have. So just take your time, really go in there and ruffle. And notice, take my time and adjust my bag too, so I can keep nice, even pressure on it as I go around. And this style of cake is very forgiving, and kind of the looser you are with it, the less exact, the better it is, because it gives you a nice varied look all over the sides. So here we have our little finished ruffle cake, and you can see we've done ours in light purple, but you can do this in any color. And because its design is kind of ambiguous, it's just these beautiful kind of fabric inspired ruffles, it'll work for a lot of occasions. So think a variety of holidays, things like weddings, anniversaries. If you have bridal or baby showers, just changing up the color can help it fit the occasion. And it's a simple one to pop flowers or a topper on as well. It's also really easy to make ombre because you can start out with one color, and after one or two ruffles, dump it, add a little white or another color, and slowly do your change down the side of the cake. So it's a little easier to blend because you're making these kind of set defined ruffles. So it's an easy one to make ombre, and it's an easy one to customize to a variety of different occasions. And since we're only doing one technique, it's pretty simple to master, but you can see the looser, the wild you are with that rocking motion, the better it looks. The more variety it has, the more it looks like beautiful little ruffles on maybe a petticoat or something else. And it's very kind of adorably fabric inspired. So it's an easy one if you're just beginning your cake decorating journey. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It truly supports our channel and helps us share more in-depth cake decorating lessons. Want to level up your skills? Our yearly membership has certificate programs from beginner and up. Learn more at cakedecoratingschool.com.